Aye.
Hello again. We've reached Genesis chapter 1, verses 14 to 19, which we'll now read in the NIV.
And God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark seasons and days and years. And let them be lights in the expanse of the sky to give light on the earth." And it was so. God made 2 great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set them in the expanse of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the 4th day.
Well, many of us just take this as a scientific account of the creation, the official, the divine version of the scientific account. But we miss, therefore, the real intent of it, which is it's an assault. It's a confrontation with pagan mythology of that day, because all the pagan nations had a different view of the lights in the sky than the Hebrews were to have based on this account. Wenham sums up the difference this way. Gordon Wenham, in Word Biblical Commentary, Genesis 1 to 15, he says, "The most obvious reason for the detail in the 4th day's description is the importance of the astral bodies in ancient Near Eastern thought. In neighboring cultures, the sun and the moon were some of the most important gods in the pantheon, and the stars were often credited with controlling human destiny. So there is probably a polemic or argumentative thrust behind Genesis' treatment of the theme. This comes out in several ways. First, the sun, moon, and stars are created by God. They are creatures, not gods. And with creatureliness goes transience. Unlike the Hittite sun god, they are not from eternity. Second, the sun and moon are not given their usual Hebrew names here, which might suggest an identification with Shamash, the sun god, or Yari, the moon god. Instead, they are simply called the larger and the smaller light. Third, the sun and moon are simply assigned the role of lighting the earth and ruling the day and night as surrogates of God. This is quite a lowly function by ancient Near Eastern standards, though Marduk does something similar in appointing stations for the great gods in the Babylonian epic, the Enuma Elish. Finally, the stars, widely worshipped and often regarded as controllers of human destiny, are mentioned almost as an afterthought. They too are merely creatures.
And
Now,
then Campbell Morgan, what may do we? The word Elohim, here translated God, and occurring at least 35 times in this particular section, suggests the embodiment of all might.
well, Wenham's point, I think we would have missed as witnesses, that throughout the entire Old Testament, and especially in the prophets, I'm thinking particularly of Isaiah 47-48, written against the Babylonian deities, and if you have the traditional dating of Genesis, you believe it's written between their stay in Egypt for 400 years, where the sun god is the dominant deity, although the others are acknowledged and worshipped too, and Canaan, where you have a variety of nature gods. But again, the astral gods and the sun and moon are the dominant gods in the pagan world. So it's this account becomes, as it were, it's not a rant against paganism, but it's a kind of an offhand joke, i.e. they're just slighted. He passes them right by with almost so much so that you miss the significance of what's going on here.
Yeah, for me it was a new thought. I had never, well, because I didn't read the Bible in context very well, I didn't know, or I didn't consider what the audience that was receiving this would have thought. So with that knowledge, knowing that this is a people that have been brought out of cultures that worship the sun and the moon, that there was a reason why they weren't named, not even the Hebrew names given, but just called lights, just making it simply a function. They have a role. They're there by design to give light in the day and light at night. So that whole concept, I would have missed it completely, that this was a smack in the face to the gods of the cultures around them, so that they would identify or get to know that the God that they were rescued by and taken and was identifying or helping them to learn about him, that he was the creator of the sun and the moon, not gods like their cultures had always taught them.
All of the cultures around them were polytheistic, so they made room for all kinds of deities, often identified with the heavenly bodies. But here you have a God who sums in himself all of the attributes that you find in all the other gods, and a lot more than that too.
So it helps to know the purpose of the book, of the writing.
But I love the fact that it's dealt with in such an offhand. It's a slight, but it's an offhand slight, more like a joke than a rant.
So the audience would have got it. We don't.
We don't
get it. Yeah.
So Morgan's point about God, this God, Elohim, the plural word in Hebrew, being the embodiment of all might. So all of the attributes that we think of as somehow characteristic of God are summed up in this one word, Elohim. The plurality of it is one of the major points that should cause us to pause when we identify the one God of the Hebrews with unitary singularity. He's not a unit. His oneness is not unitary.
He's the creator of all things, so you would expect he'd be complex compared to anything that he creates.
These are words we should associate with the word Elohim. Plurality, complexity, infinity. But how can we reconcile the concept of oneness with infinity? Well, we have to, because he is bigger than the universe, uni. He's bigger than the university, which, if you know anything about the uses of this word, the word one has been put to, even in Genesis itself, where we're told that the two human beings that are formed become one. Should give us pause before we get to adamant
being
and
a singular unit.
Adamant dogmatic about what oneness connotes. Next time, days 5 and 6,